Welcome back, TTP. Guess who's back? Back again. Uh, guess who's back? What? Still winning. Uh. But y'all know the vibes. Welcome back, TTP. Yeah, I know it's been I think it's been almost 3 weeks since I last posted. Guys, life been life. If you know, you know. I've been life, and I've just been trying to, just go with the vibes and just focus on what I'm doing and what I'm bringing to my life and to my future for myself and my family. So that being said, no, I'll not be addressing anything because that's my business, not y'all's. But what I will say is if you or anyone that you know is suffering or having to hide a situation of domestic abuse or any abuse in any form should not be tolerated, and you should speak up for yourself. You should never feel afraid to speak up for yourself. Like, life is hard enough. Be stressed about you shouldn't have to be stressed out by people that you invite into your life, especially people that you've already kicked out of your life. So, that being said, we're gonna move on to the episode, and we're gonna keep it pushing. Okay. Welcome back, my people. My fine people today. How are y'all doing today? Y'all already know. My 26 on your my people, my 26 is coming up. Independence Day is coming up, you guys. I don't know what y'all are doing. As far as I'm concerned, I know my cousin got stuff going on in Philly or New Jersey, I think, this year. Y'all hit me with the LIB moves. I beg you. Please hit me with the LIB moves. I want to be outside with y'all, for real. But I hope y'all been feeling blessed, been staying faithful, been not letting yourself be broken down or put into a box due to your situation, your environment. Never allow how dark life can be sometimes to convince you that it should be allowed to dim your light, you know? That's the whole point of darkness. But I also say that to keep in mind, there is no light without darkness. So it's not that you should fear or have fear that your light isn't bright enough to shine through any circumstance that life may throw at you, because it is. But I also want you to understand that your experiences ultimately help push you further and further, or closer and closer towards your purpose, if you allow it to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about situations that we, put ourselves into and then God has to come and rescue us out of, which can be anything, so no judgment zone. What I'm saying is, don't allow the situations that the devil is trying to use to break you down. You feel what I'm saying? That's the whole purpose. How you gonna let him win? He lame. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, if experience has taught me anything, bro, I was literally just talking to my grandpa. Today's his birthday. God bless him, the most amazing soul ever. But today's his birthday, right? So I called him to check up on him. Me and him was just kicking it, talking, and just chopping up as usual. He's an amazing person to go to for advice. He's seen a lot of life. You feel what I'm saying? So one thing he was talking to me about today is that although education is powerful because knowledge is power, all knowledge isn't always found in books. You know? I see you poking.
What's up, y'all?
I hope you know I'm keeping that in there.
No, I'm just here.
No, you're not. Get out. Bye. Bye, guys. It's my lovely brother. But yeah, like I was saying, knowledge isn't always. I don't want to say knowledge because I want to say his words verbatim. He said, "Wisdom cannot be found in books. Wisdom is found through experience." And I don't say that to disregard what education and what knowledge can teach you, because ultimately, with everything else, that balance is needed. The experience of your situations paired with the knowledge of information that has been put together by people that have come before you, that paired together allows you to not only understand the situations that you've been through, but understand and recognize patterns for situations that others have gone through so you don't have to. You get what I'm saying? That's why I feel like it's so important to not try and hide from what life can try and, like, throw at you sometimes. Because even me, bro, I don't even say, like, for me, my biggest thing is as soon as I get stressed, I like to isolate. I like to isolate. I like to isolate. I like to isolate because one thing about me, I need to go in my prayer closet with God and make sure I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very easy in your personal life to misconstrue or misunderstand things that are coming at you from like all angles. You know what I'm saying? So when I allow myself to just be in my own energy, I can see things more clearly and break things down the way I truly need to. You get me? Because a lot of times people will, especially if you're a person that, me, I'm neurodivergent and I naturally can have a tendency to be more anxious when my nervous system is dysregulated. And a lot of times, like, this is real world, because like I said, there's no darkness without light. A lot of times, darkness will come in many shapes and forms so that it can ramp up that anxiety to make you feel like you're crazy and that you can't tell what's real from what's an illusion. And the enemy likes to use distractions so much because that's the easiest way to get you dysregulated, the easiest way to get you imbalanced. And when you're imbalanced, it's a lot harder to hear God's voice more clearly, right? It's a lot harder to not only understand what he's trying to say to you, but even want to hear it in the first place. If you're already in an anxious and fearful state, you're not looking for God to tell you, oh, you're gonna make it through, or really, like, not even just that, because the reassurance will come regardless because he's a loving God. But it's a matter of, we don't always hear his directions the way that we want to. So when he speaks to us and we're not in that space where we can hear his voice clearly, one, it's very easy to get mixed in with the enemy and get mixed in with just rambunctious thoughts that are trying to distract you from your original goal. And two, it's a lot easier to misinterpret what you think you're hearing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like, we forget that God isn't the only one that sends signs. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we think, oh, when we enter Christianity, that God's just gonna protect us from everything and anything. Nothing will ever happen to you in your life, which is true to an extent. You know what I'm saying? What we sometimes what is sometimes very easy to forget is that the devil doesn't want you getting closer to God. That's the whole point of the distractions. You feel what I'm saying? Like, if it was all cool, if you just, like, you know being cool and being buddy buddy with God, don't you think it'd be a lot easier than what it feels like today? Don't you think we would have a lot less shame and when it comes to our relationship with God and our relationship to ourselves? But the thing that the devil likes to pair distractions with is shame. He likes to make you feel like, oh, you've come off of your path and now you're no longer worthy of getting back on it, which is never true. I don't care how far you go. And that's not to justify, like, any type of harmful or abusive behavior. It's just a matter of true unconditional love is not something that we understand and have face to face interactions with these days. A lot of people don't even know what basic conditional love looks like. You feel what I'm saying? In a society where individualism and every man for himself has become the main focus, in a world where everyone feels like they're in survival mode, so they can't help but be self-centered. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's just the reality. And a lot of times it's hard to face our realities because it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound comfortable. So when the option to run away from parts of ourselves that need more development or just need a little bit more attention and grace and TLC, we shy away from that because of shame. We convince ourselves that we aren't even worthy of, or we should feel embarrassed to even look at the parts of ourselves that we've had to cover and hide or protect from the world because there's just been so much harm and so much pain. You know what I'm saying? And that's just like in terms of like your inner child, the inner version of you, the inner you that knows everything that you've seen, the inner you that knows everything that you've experienced, the inner you that knows only the things that God has seen you go through. That version of you, when not healed, when not tended to, when not listened to, that version of you will always try and seek some type of control in anything that you do, whether or not you are aware of your own subconscious behaviors. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not you choose to be aware, whether or not you choose to excuse your behavior and convince yourself that it's justifiable because of the things that you've been through. One thing I've learned in this world is that no one owes you anything. No one owes me anything. As much as I have experienced in this world, I choose to look for the good in all of it, not only because I know God uses everything for my good, but because if I didn't, I would allow myself to become a cold and dark-hearted individual that I don't know myself to be. And because I have experienced so much darkness in this world, I never want to repeat that. You feel what I'm saying? When you when you really start to understand reality, like true reality, that with like there really is true darkness, you stop. You either stop playing and start being more attentive to how you show up in the world and how you impact others because you understand that that impact will always come back to you, or you choose to be ignorant to your own decisions in a manner that allows you to skate by your own shame until you can no longer. Because one thing that is also true is that anything done in darkness will always come to light. And that's another reason why I say you can only run from yourself for so long. You can only run from your experiences for so long before they eventually catch up to you in your decision making. As whether or not you're aware of why you do the things that you do, whether or not you're aware of why certain emotions trigger certain behavior reactions out of you, that doesn't mean it will stop doing it. And honestly, it will mean that you do it even more. Because when you're aware of what hurts you and how to avoid it, or how to recognize when you're hurt, you're able to remove yourself and heal that hurt before pushing it on to someone else. But If you're not self-aware, you choose not to be aware because you don't want to face the reality of your own decisions and why you make those decisions, it's very easy to then have to create a version of yourself that is not who you truly are, because mentally you just can't or don't want to connect to that version of yourself. And I pray that everyone sees what's going on in the world and allows that to open their minds and their hearts to the possibility of change in any aspect. You feel what I'm saying? Change in the experiences you choose, change in your reaction to your experiences, and change in your perception of your purpose from what you've experienced. You feel what I'm saying? Because how else are you to know why God wants you to do what you want to do on this earth until you understand why He's allowed you to go through what you go through? If you're always running from what you've been through, you won't be able to see the beauty and the masterpiece and the wisdom that's to be found in it. Anything that God takes you to, He will take you through. So anything He takes you to, there's a reason for it. And the more I experience life and the more I choose to understand instead of shy away, I truly, truly just become more and more grateful for the experiences that I've had. And that's not to say like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one wants to go through frustrating situations. I'm trying to calm my cussing. But no one wants to go through frustrating situations. No one's looking, I mean, personally, me, I feel like there's maybe a time in my life because I was so used to toxic experiences, I definitely sought them out. But at this big age and the experiences I've had enough to last me a lifetime, several lifetimes even. My tender age of 23, I'm so tired. I'm tired. Okay? I'm tired. And I've learned, and the reason why I say I'm grateful is because I know people who are 10, 20, 30 years my senior going through situations that I could have been stuck in. And it's not to say it's all my willpower that's gotten me out of those situations. It's God. And because I allowed God to move through me and move me out of those situations. And as soon as I started to listen to Him and truly just be obedient to what He's asked me to do and what He's asked me to see, the more and more gratitude I have for my experiences and the more gratifying experiences I start to attract to myself. I feel like I've come to a point where I understand that there's always more to learn, but I also am understanding that I don't always have to learn it the hard way. Everything that I've been through and everything that I've seen is to prepare me for my life and the beauty that my life could be. But like I said, just because you choose to walk with Christ does not mean life's gonna be pickles and rainbows and whatever. Like there's always gonna be sunshine. There may be rain. Sunshine will always follow with rainbows. But at the end of the day, you can't expect to walk with Christ and not be attacked. Jesus Himself was crucified. And that's not to say go out and make yourself a martyr. Don't do that. That's dumb. Okay? Be very clear. It's very dumb. It's not what Jesus did. Okay? He died for our sins, so you don't have to. But what you can do, though, is you can now use the example that He was and reflect who He's called us to be. And that doesn't mean you're not going to mess up, but that means when you mess up, give yourself grace. Everything that He calls you to do is to benefit you and those around you. When you give yourself grace, you're more open to giving other people grace. You're more open to understanding that we're all God's children. He doesn't want division with any of us. He wants unity. But at the end of the day, He's a Father, and He will always discipline us as necessary. God is a wrathful God, but He is a loving God. So, one thing I'm learning is to lean more into love, lean more into understanding, lean more into release. Because a lot of times we feed situations with our energy that don't deserve it. We feed situations with our attention when we can be focused on ourselves and bettering ourselves. Sometimes most times you just have to learn how to let things go to God. If they come back to you in any shape or form, that doesn't always mean also that it's for you. Sometimes it's a test. But at the end of the day, you just gotta trust that God is guiding you and really choose to listen to what He is saying in your heart. But also learn to give yourself grace when you mess up, because at the end of the day, we're human. The whole point of our journey is to learn. We don't always have to mess up to learn, but when you do, be kind to yourself and also show that same kindness to others. And when you mess up, ask God for forgiveness, and if possible, those that you've wronged. And if that's not possible, learn to let stuff go. So that's the theme, you guys. Not allowing your experiences to determine your purpose, but embracing your experiences to learn your purpose and fulfill it. I love you guys. Hope you have a great week. Kisses.